This is how I love you. I obey your commands to love truth and love justice and my fellow man, to steady the weak and the hungry to feed, that Christ might be honored and with me be pleased. For this is the love you have shown, and to love I must echo the love I have known. So I will be faithful to love as required, a love shown by obedience. Lord, I'll be obedient. This is how I love you, giving as I've received, the blessings you've lavished to others in need, to care for the poor, to free the oppressed, to stand for the orphan and the widow to bless. For this is the love you have shown, and to love I must echo the love I have known. So I will be faithful to love as required, a love shown by obedience. Lord, I'll be obedient. And if I have not love, then I truly have nothing at all, nothing at all. So here now is love, the love you have shown, and to love I must echo the love I have known. So I will be faithful to love as required, a love shown by obedience. Lord, I'll be obedient. Lord, I'll be obedient. Oh Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldst come to me, but speak your words of comfort. My spirit healed shall be. Then humbly I'll receive thee, the bridegroom of my soul. No more by sin to grieve thee, or fly thy sweet control. Almighty eternal Spirit, unworthy though I be, prepare me to receive him and trust the word to me.
Well, we have to have a little Bible 101, New Testament. And it's very important because one of the proofs that people easily, and I say with ignorance, is that, of course, Jesus was human because he got angry, as if anger were the characteristic of human beings. So that's the gospel. Jesus does something unusual. In John's gospel, the gospel today is in the second chapter, right after the wedding feast at Cana, which is a funny transporting of the cleansing of the temple, which in the synoptics is later in the time of Jesus. What's going on? Well, we have to go back. In the first reading of today from Exodus, we heard that that God says, I took you out of Egypt in what we call the Passover. I formed you as my people by freeing you from the years and years of slavery in Egypt. So that becomes very important because it was the slaying of a lamb, and the blood of the lamb was to be put on the doorposts, and that was the sign of the Passover, that the lamb was slain. So the context for the gospel is the Passover celebration, remembering and recalling, and we are the people of God, so that there were these many, many, many slaughterings of lambs in the temple right before the Passover. So you've got all this mercantileness, the selling of sheep, which is a good thing. You got to buy sheep somewhere, or bring sheep, or something to sacrifice in remembrance of the Exodus, remembering that we are the people of God. So when Jesus comes early in John's gospel, what he's saying very simply is, these forms of remembering God's love, I am going to replace. I am the new lamb. And if you remember, and we've had it, that early in John's gospel, John the Baptist points out, there is the Lamb of God. Behold the Lamb of God. So Jesus, early in John's gospel, is known as Lamb of God. So Jesus is replacing the many slaughterings, the sacrificing, the praising and thanking of God by the sacrificing of lambs. He is now the Lamb who will be sacrificed in John's gospel. So that's a little reminder of why is Jesus doing that so early in John's gospel? Because he is upsetting, he upset the tables. Well, no. He upset the sellers, and he upset the Pharisees, because Jesus is going to replace them, is going to replace the temple. This temple that took 46 years to build, I'm going to destroy it, and in 3 days, the new temple will be built, namely himself after the resurrection. So it's very early in John's gospel, he begins the tension that will proceed all along. He's always in conflict and will culminate in his arrest, condemnation, crucifixion, and death. So that the scene in John's gospel gets set very early. that he is the Lamb who will be slain. Okay, what is that all for us? Well, it's very easy, I think, for us to have the same, I'm going to make a word, mercantility, or the mentality for the mercantile, or a quid for a quo, back and forth. You do something and something gets done. You know, you put your money there and you get the pretzels. Okay. God is not mercantile. God is not a merchant. Yet we are so accustomed, you see, to this business mentality in everything we do. We get product and we pay the bills, and we do this and do that. We do a service and we get paid for it. Everything is transaction, which is understandable. And it's so easy to translate that to God's relationship with us and our relationship with God. That if I am good, God will be good. In payment. So we, in a way, we make religion into our God. That we do the right thing and we'll get paid. And we can even go to church out of duty, and we say, we during the whole prayer time, say in the Eucharist, we think about the goodness of God, or we think about the week, and we say, God, thank you for the week. You did very well. And if you keep it up next week, I'll be back. Because I come here to pay you, and you're going to give me something in return. And you say, no, I never do that. Yeah, it's in our ways to, I don't know, entertain God or please God, do something for God. No. God is always doing who God is, and God is for us. If God is for us, who can be against? God is for us. God is constantly being good to us. We might not see it. We might not like the way it is, but he's creating us. We are constantly being created, and we don't deserve anything. We don't win anything. You might not like this, but God does not approve of us or appreciate us. We deal with that. We deal with appreciation and approval all the time. God is not a dealer. We have to accept, I think, the poverty, that we don't have some way to render God benevolent towards us, because our Jewish ancestors remembered the sacrifice of the lamb in Egypt. They were saved. They received. They didn't deserve it. God was creating them. God is creating us. God did not approve of the sacrifice. He blessed them so that there could be a sacrifice. We don't make God do anything. We allow God to be God of our lives. Very difficult, but it's what we believe. But we don't always live that way. So that Jesus, with passion, says, no, I am getting your attention. I am upsetting you because you need to start paying attention to me as the face of God. I want to be good to you. I want to be the sacrifice for you. Not that you have to do in order for God to love you. The movement is from have to do to want to do. To receive that the Lamb has been slain for us. We don't have to worry about that. We don't have to do something in order to make God love us or forgive us. What we want to do is to receive the creative, salvific love of God in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And that's what we're celebrating during Lent, our freedom from the burden of having to do for God. You know, the question is, given that you are so loved by God, what do you want to do? Not to please God, but to reveal God. Imagine that we are the people who reveal our belief in God's goodness that is within us and now is for you. And we say this all the time. The Eucharist is given to us that we might be the Eucharist that he gives to others. Imagine that. So it's another Sunday of Lent. It's another week of Lent, that to put aside the burden of having to please God or do something right for God, the right thing to do is to let God be God, to let Jesus be the Lamb who has been slain, and we are the ones for whom he has lived, died, and risen. Let it be.